Hey there, welcome back to the channel. What would you do if your homeland was stolen, your children were dying, and your way of life was under attack? In the late 1800s, the Northern Cheyenne faced this exact nightmare. They were promised peace, then delivered starvation. They were told to surrender, but chose survival. This is the story of one of the most harrowing and heroic escapes in American history, the Cheyenne Exodus. After the Battle of the Little Bighorn in 1876, where General Custer and over 200 U.S. soldiers were killed, the U.S. Army intensified its efforts to crush Native American resistance. The Northern Cheyenne, Arapaho, and Lakota Sioux, who had participated in the battle, became primary targets. By 1877, after years of relentless conflict and dwindling resources, Cheyenne leaders Dull Knife and Little Wolf surrendered with approximately 900 Cheyenne at Fort Robinson, Nebraska. Despite its promises, the U.S. government ordered them to relocate to Indian Territory in modern-day Oklahoma, far from their homeland in the Northern Plains. This violated the Fort Laramie Treaty of 1868, which had guaranteed certain northern lands to the Lakota and their allies. The Cheyenne's forced relocation south was brutal. The Cheyenne could only watch on in horror as along the journey. The U.S. Army continued its campaign of buffalo extermination. This policy was designed to starve Plains tribes, including the Cheyenne, into submission by destroying their main food source. Once in Indian Territory, conditions were dire. Measles and malaria spread rapidly, and the food rations were spoiled or scarce. The Cheyenne, unfamiliar with the southern climate and terrain, began to die from starvation and disease, men, women, and children. Recognizing they had traded one death sentence for another, Dull Knife and Little Wolf resolved to act. They would escape and return to Montana, their sacred homeland. If they were to die, it would be on their own land, not as prisoners in a place that was killing them slowly. On September 9, 1878, 353 Northern Cheyenne, including 92 men, 120 women, 69 boys, and 72 girls, fled the Darlington Agency. Their goal? Make it north before winter. They knew the U.S. Army would pursue them. They knew they were outnumbered. They ran anyway, feeling they had no other choice. The Cheyenne used expert knowledge of the land, moving at night using decoys, and splitting into smaller groups to evade capture. They engaged in skirmishes with U.S. soldiers at locations like Punished Woman's Fork and Turkey Springs where, despite being heavily outnumbered, they held their ground and escaped. In response, the U.S. deployed over 1,000 troops and civilian volunteers. General George Crook, a seasoned Indian Wars commander, was among those sent to track them down. Still, the Cheyenne remained elusive thanks to clever hit-and-run tactics and an unbreakable will. As winter closed in, the group split. Dull Knife's band traveled northwest toward the Red Cloud Agency in Nebraska, hoping to find refuge. Little Wolf's band remained in hiding in the Sandhills, heading slowly toward Montana. Dull Knife's band, now down to about 149 people, was captured and brought to Fort Robinson in January 1879, initially told they could remain in the north. They were soon ordered back to Oklahoma. When they refused, the Army cut off food, water, and heat, hoping starvation would force their compliance. On January 9th, the desperate Cheyenne broke out of their barracks. U.S. soldiers opened fire, killing dozens, including women and children. Some froze to death in the Nebraska cold. Dull Knife escaped, though wounded. Only a handful of his band survived. Meanwhile, Little Wolf's band, starving and exhausted, continued their slow, hidden journey. In March 1879, they voluntarily surrendered in Montana after General Crook promised they could stay. Though the U.S. government never officially honored this promise, public outcry over the Fort Robinson massacre swayed opinion. In 1884, the Northern Cheyenne Indian Reservation was officially established in southeastern Montana, where many of their descendants still live today. The Cheyenne Exodus is a tale of heartache and heroism. The Cheyenne's 1,500-kilometer march through cold, disease, and gunfire became a symbol of defiance against cultural genocide. It wasn't just a fight for survival. It was a fight for identity, for land, and for the right to exist as a people. The U.S. government's forced assimilation policies, including the use of boarding schools to erase native languages and cultures, make this resistance even more profound. The Cheyenne Exodus reminds us that freedom isn't given, it's taken, even at a great cost. If this story moved you, please subscribe for more Native American history and legacy videos. Let's continue to honor the voices and journeys of Indigenous peoples across the continent. Thank you for joining me on this journey through history. Till next time, stay curious and keep exploring.